てっきり役者辞めたんだと思ってた。
あかね。
よかったわね。
Arima.
The anime begins with an otaku doctor named Garou obsessing over a K-pop idol named Ai Hoshino. However, he soon finds out that she is going on hiatus due to her poor health condition. Upset over this, the nurse calls him a lolicon.
それだけは言うな。
Garou explains to her that he idolizes her because of one of his past patients, named Sarina Tendaoji, who dreamed of becoming an idol. If she were ever reborn, she would want to be the child of a celebrity. Garou tells her there is no need for her to be reborn since she is already cute, and when she is discharged, he will be her #1 fan. Sarina jumps happily at him, asking him to marry her, and Garou replies, "When you turn 16, I may consider it." Unfortunately, Sarina died at the age of 12, and Garou says he follows Sarina's favorite idol to keep her in mind. Garou makes his way to a patient's room while worrying about Ai's condition. As he looks over his papers, he notices that the girl in the room is only 16 years old and pregnant. While they are talking, the girl takes off her hat, and Garou instantly recognizes her as the idol, Ai. Trying not to freak out, he steps out and has a little grieving moment. He then goes back in and informs Ai that she is having twins, but her producer tells her that having children at such a young age will ruin her career if the public finds out. While sitting on the rooftop and thinking about Sarina, Ai appears and tells him that she doesn't have a family and wants to give birth to the twins she has.
やっぱ溢れ出るオーラ隠せないね。困った困った。
自信家かわいい。
But without telling the public, Garou comes to a settlement that he will personally deliver her children to her as he believes it is his destiny. 40 weeks have passed and Ai's kids are about to be born. Garou decides to go home for the night and wait until she calls him. On his way home, a hooded man asks if he is the doctor of Ai. However, since she used a fake name, he becomes suspicious of how the man knows her real name and chases after him. Garou quickly loses sight of the man and looks over the cliff when he is suddenly pushed from behind and murdered. Garou wakes up as the baby of Ai Hoshino, and his new name is Aquamarine, along with his new sister named Ruby. Although Ai can't remember people's names well, she tends to forget even her children's names at times. It's been a year since then, and Ai has been out of the industry for a while until today, which is the day she returns to being an idol. The producer has a meeting to discuss what to do with the kids and puts his wife Miyako in charge of watching them. Ai asks her producer if she can take the kids, but he instantly declines, telling her that if she does that, she can kiss her idol career goodbye. Aqua notices that as a mother, Ai is hopeless and reckless. However, due to the other two, things will work out. Ai goes to work, and Aqua turns on the TV, only to discover that his mother almost accidentally revealed something on her first day back. Fortunately, she saves herself. Ai's performance takes over the whole studio, and Aqua is so delighted to watch her that he is grateful to his murderer. Ruby wakes up and joins Aqua. She is also someone reborn, like Garou. Aqua realized that much earlier when Ruby was caught on the tablet. However, they both are unaware of their past identities. Aqua feels bad for Ai for having two weird bizarre set of twins. Meanwhile, the murderer of Garou was also watching Ai's performance, slamming his hands on the desk and going crazy because of the kids Ai had. Later, when Aqua notices that unlike him, Ruby is actually accepting breastfeeding from Ai, he asks if Ruby was a girl in her previous life. Ruby nods, and he decides to let her slide. While Ruby was talking about a creepy otaku who is obsessed with her mother, obviously she is talking about Aqua. Ruby has a diaper accident, and Miyako starts changing her diaper, but regretted her decision to marry Saito and ending up having to babysit someone else's kids. She had hoped to meet handsome young models, but seeing that her plan failed, she got an evil idea. She took out Ai's maternity health book and started taking pictures of it, intending to reveal her high-paying magazine. Aqua realizes that the size difference between them is significant, so killing Miyako is out of the question. Aqua and Ruby decide to act as special beings sent by God. Ruby's performance helps a lot in convincing Miyako, saying that the penalty of death awaits her if she fails to comply with their demands. And the reward of having a second marriage to a handsome model is what Miyako was sold. Later that night, Aqua covers Ruby with a blanket on the couch and thinks about how her passion resembles Sarina, his old patient. Ruby wakes up, thinking she heard something, but ignores it, as there is no way Aqua would call her by her past name. Ai notices that her current salary is only 200,000 yen a month, which cannot provide a good life for her twins, nor would she be able to send them to the best schools. After Ai leaves, Ruby and Aqua confront Miyako about this issue, and she responds with the troubles of joining the industry and the slim odds of becoming an idol. Meanwhile, Ai is not feeling motivated and opens social media, only to find a user pointing out that her smile seems off, putting Ai in an even worse mood. The twins forced Miyako to take them to the shoot because they were very worried about their mother. Miyako strictly told them to avoid anything that would attract attention to them. The performance began, and Bikumachi had the whole audience pumped up. Meanwhile, Aoi keeps thinking about that comment. As a professional, she practices her fake smile in front of the mirror, making it perfect to every millimeter. Suddenly, her attention diverted to the overly excited twins who were more pumped than any of the other fans. Aqua and Ruby got carried away, while Aoi gave a genuine smile on seeing how cute her babies are. Someone made a video of them and uploaded it on Twitter. With over 2 million views and thousands of retweets, having Miyako gets an earful from her husband. The same person who complained about Ai's smile now comments that this is what he wanted, under the picture of Ai smiling over her babies. A year has passed, and it is no longer suspicious for Ruby and Aqua to talk in front of others. After using a difficult phrase and receiving a head pat from her mother, Ruby surprises Ai. However, instead of suspecting anything, Ai thinks that Ruby is a genius like her mother. Since the promotion event, Ai has been getting more and more gigs, and she finally makes her debut in a drama series with a minor role. The twins again force Miyako to take them along to the shoot. Aqua bumps into the director, who warns them to throw both twins out if they start crying. Aqua panics and gives a detailed apology, which piques the director's interest. The director hands him his card and asks how he knows such high vocabulary at such a young age. To avoid suspicion, Aqua states that his enriched vocabulary is all thanks to YouTube. The director has a talk with Aqua, explaining the hierarchy, how they have to cast the main girl with strong agency, assign a side role to the most talented actor, and offer a newcomer like Ai the opportunity to bring freshness to the scene. Ai gives a perfect performance, as looking cute in front of just a camera is easier than in front of a whole crowd. Ruby and Aqua join Ai to watch the episode at their home but are agitated when all of Ai's scenes are reduced to just a single faraway shot. Aqua took out the director's card and scolded him over the phone. The director apologized, saying that he was pressured by the big agency of the main girl. The focus had to remain on the lead girl being promoted. However, Ai was too pretty and was stealing all her spotlight. The director explains that Ai's scenes were cut because she was too good. To rectify the unfortunate event, the director offers Ai a role in his movie, but only on the condition that Aqua agrees to accept a role in it as well. Aqua agrees to this bartering. However, the movie is just a low-budget project. Upon arriving on the set, Ruby rolls on the floor, crying and wanting to go back to her mother. Aqua wonders how she is not embarrassed to act like this at her age, not that he knows how old she actually is on the inside. Kana Arima, another child actor in the movie, interrupts them and shares that she is angry with the director for changing the script just for Ai and Aqua. She then insults Ai, saying that her one-shot scene in the recent drama was so bad that they decided to cut it out. Aqua and Ruby put all their strength into not trying to murder Kana in this moment. During the scene, Kana gives a flawless performance, while Aqua is certain that if he tries to act, he will just end up ruining the scene. However, when the director reveals that he only wants Aqua to act naturally for this role because he finds him creepy even without acting, Aqua gives a perfect scary performance. This leads to Kana getting upset over being overshadowed. 3 years later, the movie was released and it was very well received. Even though everyone did a good job, the one who carried the whole movie was undoubtedly Ai. She started landing more high-profile work after that. The twins started preschool, and whenever Aqua would try to ask Ruby about her previous life, she would evade the question. During dance class, Ruby runs away and Aqua follows her, learning that Ruby had never danced before. Ruby had spent the majority of her life in a hospital room, and putting dancing aside, she had to try very hard just to walk. Even if she tried, she would end up falling. Back in her room at night, Ai helps Ruby practice dancing, and Ruby's dream to dance like her idol, Ai Hoshino, finally comes true. Aqua notices his sister's exceptional dance moves, along with her great acting skills as well. He gets a scary thought. Maybe a part of him thinks that this girl could actually be Sarina. Ai notices her babies reaching weird conclusions about their father, so she calls him to give him the address so he can meet their babies. Saito celebrates with Ai and his wife for finally achieving his dream, an idol he had nurtured to make it to the dome. During Ai's first meeting with Saito, she tried to scare him away by sharing that she had a single parent since birth. Her mom got arrested for stealing and she was transferred to a children's home. Even after release, her mother never came to get her, so Ai is unfamiliar with the feeling of love. Saito convinces her to fake love until it becomes the truth. However, Ai still longs for the day when she can tell her children that she loves them. Before the concert, the doorbell rings, and at the door is the same stalker who had killed Aqua. From behind the flowers, a dagger came out and stabs Ai. Ai remembers her good times with this family while the stalker complained to her for feeding them lies. However, when he realizes that Ai was expressing love to them in her own way, he runs away and commits suicide. As Ai was slowly dying, she held Aqua, patting his head while Ruby was slamming on the door and crying. Ai told them that she wanted to see them grow up and one day tell the world that they were her children. She tells Aqua and Ruby that she was glad she had given birth to them and finally tells them that she loved them from the bottom of her heart as the stars faded from her eyes. After her death, Ruby looked through Twitter to find negative comments about her mother, including ones that said it was bound to happen or that they weren't surprised. She alters to them all to die and slowly want to die herself. Miyako then asked Aqua and Ruby if they wanted to become her children officially, since she felt like they were her kids too. They agree as Ruby runs into Miyako's arms. At Ai's funeral, Aqua realizes that the stalker was being fed information about Ai's hospital and her new address. As her circle is limited, the only one who could possibly do that is their father, who is also a part of the acting industry. Aqua sets a new goal for himself in this world. He decides that he will not die until he takes revenge on their bastard father with his own hands. Aqua then asks the producer to raise him. Now the director accepts Aqua's offer, and a couple of years have passed since the death of Ai. Aqua and Ruby are now in middle school. Ruby has decided to follow the same route as her mother and become an idol. However, last time she didn't meet the requirements, but this time around she does. Her friends tell her she has the potential to be an idol, although she may need to work on her singing skills a bit. Aqua begins walking home, thinking of her two biggest secrets. One is that she has memories of her past life, and the other is that Ai is her real mother. Aqua starts rethinking the moments with Ai and shouts, "I'm going to be an idol like mom." Aqua taps her head, telling her that entrance exams are near and she needs to focus. She tells him that when she becomes an idol, she won't need high performance scores in school since they don't focus on your grades. She is beating two birds with one stone. Aqua tells her not to gamble her life over little factoids, as he proceeds to tell her the negative sides of becoming an idol, such as money, unwanted attention, and retiring at a very young age. Ruby gets irritated at Aqua, saying that isn't life supposed to be about taking risks, as she imagined herself in the hospital. He decides to leave it at that and goes to the director's place. Ruby explains how the death of their mother has changed her brother. He always has a gloomy face and seems like he has been up to something ever since he became the apprentice of the director. However, Aqua isn't the only one who has changed. Ichigo Ai's producers fell out of contact, and Bikumachi, who was on Ai's team, disbanded after losing her. Strawberry Production no longer has an idol department. Ruby suggests to her adoptive mother that she just put together another idol group, but she tells her that it is not that easy. Ai was a very special person and gave them an experience no one can easily forget. As Ruby does the job longer, it becomes clearer to her that miracles don't happen like that twice. As Ruby was thinking over what was said, she received a phone call from the idol industry but was unfortunately rejected, or so she thought. As it turns out, Aqua was the one who had rejected her, pretending to be the agency in order to protect his sister from becoming an idol. He wanted to do what was best for her and told the director that he wouldn't let her follow in Ai's footsteps. The director tells that Aqua had quite the sister complex. Aqua replied that it was better for him to be alone, as he alone could take care of everything. However, Aqua's plan didn't exactly work out, as Ruby was scouted by another agency shortly after. Ruby continues to tell Aqua and Miyako about how Ai became popular only because she was scouted, as this must be a sign. However, Miyako and Aqua have their doubts that this agency is actually real. Miyako asks her if she has looked over the contract, to which Ruby replies that she will get to look at the contract after they show her around the place. They both give her a doubting look. Aqua begins thinking of a way to stop her, even if that means badmouthing the company with his own hands. He takes the Strawberry Company card to pretend he's a scouter and invites a girl who was in the same agency that invited Aqua into the production room. She thought that since Aqua was young, he was going to trick her into doing something bad. Miyako glares, thinking this is already a nightmare for her. Aqua questions her about the contract they are required to sign, including the vibes there. She replies that her pay is less than what she agreed on. She doesn't receive enough money, and the studio favors some girls and puts them above everyone else. Miyako tells Aqua that this is how the idol industry works for most companies, and putting together an idol group full of young girls would be very difficult now. Aqua tells her that he is not going to let her join an agency where rumors like that are spreading. Aqua suggests hiring that girl for real to Miyako, but Miyako tells him that she would never hire someone who badmouths their colleagues. Ruby begins to get ready for her big day of visiting the agency. Miyako asks her if she's ready for this and tells her about the hardships of becoming an idol, including the possibility of gaining a stalker. Ruby says she wants to become an idol just like her mother and will make it come true. Miyako tells her not to join that particular group and instead join her agency, the Strawberry Productions, as they plan on making a new idol group for the first time in over a decade. Ruby happily agrees and signs the paper. Miyako tells her that it is official and warns her that even though she is technically her daughter, she will be sued if she tries anything. Aqua goes to the director's house to edit a film for him. The director begins talking about Aqua's sister and asks him if he's okay with it. Aqua replies that he doesn't care since it's better than having her perform with some unknown group. The director then asks if Aqua has an itch for acting again, but clarifies that Ruby is the only one trying for the performance school while he himself is trying out for general education. The director reminds Aqua that when he first asked him to raise him, Aqua had a spark for acting. However, Aqua's intention at that time was not to become an actor but rather to get closer to finding his father, who had gotten his mother murdered. He tells the director that he has no skill for acting compared to Ai. The director says that he sounds like an ape and needs to stop comparing himself to Ai, as he will never be her and she will never be him. He tells him that everyone has the right to dream, and he was about to, until his mother busts into the room. Aqua begins to question why he is 40 and still living with his mother. The director tells him that he's too young to be acting like an old Joe and advises him to follow his dream. Aqua and Ruby arrived at Yoyudu campus to take their tests. They both passed with flying colors. Ruby's beauty was enough, and Aqua's knowledge from his past life got him outstanding results. As they regrouped at the window, a girl heard Aqua's name and instantly knew he was the same person she did the play with a while back. She got excited that she could finally see Aqua again, but he told her that he wasn't applying for the performing act but for general studies. Aqua replies that since he is worried about his sister, he has decided to apply there. And Ruby tells him that Aqua has a sister complex. Ruby whispers to Aqua that she never likes her, but Aqua informs Ruby that she will be in junior if she is accepted. She decides to accept it and try to be friends, calling her lowly senpai. Aqua walks away, but Kana follows him, asking him annoying questions. He turns around and asks if she's a delinquent or something with all these interrogating questions. Aqua asks her how long she intends to follow him, and Kana replies that she will stop following him when he answers her questions. The first question is about whether he still does acting, and he replies that he doesn't do that anymore. He tries to walk away again, but she continues to follow. Getting closer, Kana asks if he wants to go somewhere to catch up. Aqua replies that it's an extreme way to try to get closer, but she informs him that since she is considered a celebrity, she can't just go to a regular shop for a chat. Aqua decides to take her to the director's home, as he points out that he hasn't seen her since she was little. However, since Kana is still acting, she takes it as an offense that he doesn't watch her plays. Kana asks Aqua why he attends the director's home if he doesn't do acting, insisting that he does acting on the side. Aqua replies that the director only trained him in the basics of acting. However, he wishes to work behind the scenes as the director's assistant. Kana is happy to find out that he is still in the industry even if it isn't as an actor. They begin eating dinner, and Kana says that it's shocking that she never figured the director would be a sponge, leeching off his parents like a parasite. The director tells her that she still hasn't learned respect yet and is still an annoying rascal. She asks the director if he has any videos of Aqua acting, but Aqua instantly tells him not to show her as he has no skill for acting. Kana tries to get him a lead in the play she's currently doing, but Aqua instantly refuses again. However, hearing the name of the film sparks his interest a little, but he tells her that he is through with acting. As Kana was talking about the film, she mentioned the producer's name, Masaya Kaburagi, and this sparked Aqua's interest. When Oi died, Aqua decided to check her phone for clues about the killer. However, one phone had a password, and day after day, he would try to unlock it. After 4 years and 45,510 attempts, he succeeded. When looking through her contacts, he found someone named Masaya. Aqua decides that he will enter the film, as Kana warns him that things will be a bit problematic. She calls the producer, and he agrees to let him on set. Miyako informs Ruby about the film Aqua will be in, and Ruby begins thinking about when her mother told her that Aqua will probably grow up to be an actor, and she will grow up to be an idol. However, Aqua didn't get the acting job because of Ai's ambitions. He only wants to get closer to the producer that she interacted with. Miyako fills them in on the film called Sweet Today. She tells them there are up to 6 episodes, and only 3 of them are released, and Aqua will be playing the villain in the last episode. Ruby tells him he'll be perfect for that since his face looks like a villain anyways. They decide to watch one of the episodes, and let's just say that they were all disappointed and unwatchable. As Ruby says, it's just downright awful as the actors all sucked, even counting Kana. Aqua tells Kana what Ruby said, and she flips out. She replies that there are hardly any high schoolers who can act as good as she can. Aqua wonders why it turned out like that, and Kana says she is being held back since nobody knows how to act, and if she went all out, she would stand out, leaving the other characters with no attention. Kana also tells him that when the author of the original manga came to the film, her face was full of disappointment. Since the actors and the staff behind the scenes have worked hard, Kana decided that at the very least, she can appreciate their efforts and dial down her acting a bit. Aqua is happy to see that Kana has grown a bit since they last met, since the old Kana would have wanted all the glory for herself. She tells Aqua the schedule of the things they'll have to do in the film, and Aqua realizes not only is the play a mess but so is the schedule. They begin to think about when they were kids and Kana chewed out Aqua for rushing through the script. Now, she is the one making him rush through the script. She takes Aqua's hand, telling him it doesn't matter who trashes her, and asks him to make a good show with her because she believes it's possible with him. Aqua decides to study the film and slowly begins to think that maybe they can pull this off. They arrive at the studio, and Kana begins explaining to him that they only get one practice run as they don't have that much time. Aqua tells her that it's pretty sloppy and that even his director could somehow do better than that. Melt Narashima, the male lead of the film, comes over, but Aqua gets ignored when he tries to introduce himself. Kana informs Aqua that since he is still young, he thinks he's bigger than what he actually is. As Aqua turns around, he also introduces himself to the director, who Aqua suspects was involved in the murder of Ai or maybe even his biological father. Aqua wants to get a piece of his DNA to test the results when he gets the chance. The film begins with Aqua as the stalker who follows the female lead around. Aqua notices how funny fate is to end up portraying the stalker who murdered him and Ai. The play goes on, but water drips from the rooftop, causing the male lead to get distracted and forcing them to start over. Kana tells him that his acting was just fine. Aqua replies that it is something anyone can do if they are trained for it. He begins to rethink his last play with Kana, thinking that the only reason his acting was scary was because of his age and his mentality. But now that his body has caught up to him, he's just a dull silver dime. Kana gets excited that since she is the main lead, it's her job to give it her all, but Aqua slowly crushes that by replying that he was surprised that she was still acting, since he hasn't seen her lately. Kana mentions that it has been rough for a while as people began forgetting about her, but she kept practicing even when times were down. But now she is happy that she is finally being recognized for her hard work. Aqua goes outside where he overhears the director talking about how Kana is easy to use. Since she was laid off from her former employer, she is now just a dirt cheap actress who he can still use to obtain a little recognition. Nonetheless, he sees her as nothing more than a tool. The director dumps his cigarette in the trash and Aqua obtains a bit of his DNA. However, after thinking about what he said about Kana, he decides to go out with a bang.
せっかくだからめちゃくちゃやって帰るか
Where Aqua notices the leaking water from the shed's roof due to rain. The crew has already taken notice of the places with puddles, so they have altered the marks in such a way that actors do not have to stand on them. Aqua drills the scene into his head one more time, as he has already memorized the entrance, surrounding set, camera placement, lighting, and his appearance in the cutaways while rehearsing. As the shooting continues, Kana stands in front of the camera and thinks about the air around her becoming thick with tension, since all eyes are on her once the camera begins to roll. A long time has passed since she was called a genius actor during her childhood days, and now she thinks of this chance as a test. Being pampered by everyone during her golden age, she wonders if it was her lack of talent or just a change of mind in people as they got tired of her. Right now, the internet only addresses her as the expired child star or former genius star. Even after her prime time passed sometime after elementary school, she held on to this industry, hoping to get a chance once again, and finally manages to land this long-awaited lead role. She intends to grab all the straws to turn this scene into the best one. Note that by straw, she means Aqua, our protagonist. Kana knows that the cast is solely based on good looks and not acting skills, which has turned the show into a disappointing piece of art. Till now, 4 episodes have been released, and the audience has expressed their disappointment by giving it just a 1-star rating. The project has already been labeled as a failure, yet Kana wants to go all out with this last scene as it is an original from the manga. The scene is basically a showdown between the hero and the stalker. The leading girl has never been loved before, and this is the first time she will feel protected, hence she sheds tears of joy. This scene is the most beautifully written scene of the whole story and is the favorite of most readers, including Kana. She would always read this scene over and over again and cry.
無理だよこんなのフォローしきれない
The leading male character, Melt, is not very strong when it comes to acting, so Kana plans to synchronize with him to back him up. This way, the scene might turn out just as the author intended. With high hopes, she begins the scene, but all her plans are ruined when she realizes that this purple-headed arrogant monkey is just too bad. He might turn into a good actor way ahead in the future, maybe when Deku stops crying or when Inosuke gets Tanjiro's name right, or when Saitama finds a worthy opponent. She gives up on her hopes of turning this scene into the beautiful moment it actually is. It's finally time for the grand entrance of Aqua that we have been waiting for. He intentionally walks over the puddles so that the mic picks up the sound of his footstep noise, as it would enhance the intense mood. As he begins to say his dialogues, Kana realizes that Aqua has improved even more since they last rehearsed together. Being fully aware of his lack of acting skills and possessing a captivating aura like his mother, Aqua decides to utilize everything he can. including water puddles and props, to turn this scene into a masterpiece. He mocks Melt by getting closer to him and whispering that he is really ugly up close. Melt gets triggered and loses his composure, becoming seriously angry at Aqua. However, this is exactly what Aqua wants, as Melt is finally showing the aggression that the hero showed in this scene. Aqua proceeds with a creepy smile that a stalker usually has. The crew notices that Aqua is improvising his lines and ignoring his footmarks. The guy in charge can see the positive impact Aqua is making, so instead of telling him to stick to the plan, he tells his underling to make the lighting stronger. Meanwhile, Kana also senses the change in the scene due to Aqua's presence and can see the scene resembling how it was in the manga. As the director pointed out, Aqua has the skill of quickly understanding the story and reading the author's mind, so he sets the stage for Kana to go all out. Proceeding with the scene, Aqua takes out a dagger from his pocket and licks it in the creepiest way. He charges towards Kana, and at this moment, it feels as if Aqua is no longer acting and would stab her for real. Melt saves the heroine with a punch, and even after getting bruised, Aqua keeps up with the creepy smile, just as a creepy stalker should. After ending his dialogues, he looks at Kana, who puts on a beautiful smile filled with hope while shedding tears, just like the heroine in the manga. With this, the scene ends perfectly. Melt approaches Aqua to apologize, as the punch was supposed to be fake, but his fist actually hits Aqua's face for real. Aqua tells him not to worry, as he intentionally moved in his fist's way for the scene to play out better. Thanks to this, Kana was able to go all out. For the final scene of the day, Kana has to express the face of a girl who has just fallen in love with the main character, and even though it is not shown in the anime, it is safe to assume that she was thinking about Aqua while doing this scene. After a week, the author of this manga is woken up by a coworker while she is sleeping on the floor of her office. In response to the question of why she was sleeping on the floor, she explains that she will fall into a deep sleep in her bed, but she can wake up in about 4 hours if she sleeps on the floor. After working for a few hours, she decides to take a break and watch the latest episode of Sweet Today, which last episode has just aired. Her friends have already given up on this show, as all their hard work got the same end as all the characters in Akame ga Kill. She shares that it's not surprising for her precious manga to turn out like this, as it is an adaptation of a completed manga that cannot be continued. The artists whose manga have been adapted before always advise against getting one's hopes up. Her words are not in sync with her eyes, as she starts crying when the episode ends and feels thankful to have received this drama adaptation. Most of the viewers have already stopped watching this series, so only the core manga fans or fans of the cast kept watching until the end. Therefore, this last episode never went viral. However, it received a lot of praise and attention from the remaining community on the internet. At the wrap party of Sweet Today, Kana starts talking to Aqua about scandals, and then this sneaky lowly senpai asks if Aqua has a girlfriend. He replies that he does not. After the author of the manga thanks Kana for her amazing performance in the last episode, Masaya, the producer, approaches Aqua. He has already conducted DNA tests on Masaya's sample, and it turns out that their DNA does not match. However, Masaya states that for some reason, Aqua's face reminds him of Ai's, as he had a very close relationship with her in the industry. Moreover, he would also take care of her in various aspects, like introducing her to good clients or recommending a good discreet restaurants when she met with a boy in secret from her agency. Aqua finally finds a clue and asks him who Ai was seeing. Masaya is intrigued to know that Aqua is interested in the gossip of a late celebrity. Although he doesn't know exactly who Ai was seeing, he offers Aqua a deal in exchange for some information. Since Aqua has a pretty similar face to Ai's, he is offered a chance to participate in a reality dating show. The next morning, Ruby gets ready for her first day at the new high school, while Aqua is already dressed up and waiting for her at the entrance. It's the same scene where episode 1 ended. After saying goodbye to a picture of their beautiful mother, they head out for school. After attending the entrance ceremony, they walk toward their classes. However, they are ambushed by Loli Senpai, who congratulates them on being admitted, and then briefly introduces the specialties of this school by pointing out various famous actors and idol students. Ruby enters her class and takes an empty seat. By this time, we already know that since she is a major character, she will have the last seat in the corner by the window. In the next seat is the beautiful Minami Katabuki. Ruby becomes jealous of Minami's figure and immediately Googles her name. She praises her for being such an enriched sexy model. After classes, she introduces her new friend to Aqua. It turns out that Aqua has failed to make any friends, so Ruby favors him by asking Minami to become her loner brother's friend as well. Aqua tells her to stop trying to pass on her friends. Ruby then shares that there is a very famous person in her class, the lead role of a hit drama series and a multi-talented entertainer with amazing singing and dancing skills, Frill Shiranui. Just then, they notice her walking towards the campus gate. Aqua approaches her out of nowhere and requests her to take care of her sister, who is Ruby's classmate, and he would be glad if they could get along. Frill recognizes Aqua from the final episode of Sweet Today that was being gossiped about at her workplace, so she decides to give it a try. She also recognizes Minami from the magazine cover of Mid-Jump. She compliments both of them and then turns towards Ruby, asking what she does. Ruby feels insulted and embarrassed when she is the only one not doing anything. Back at the agency, she yells at Miyako and demands to form an idol group right away. If things continue like this, she will get bullied for doing nothing. Miyako shares that since most of the talented girls are already signed with big agencies, she is facing difficulties in recruiting. That's when Aqua suggests that there is a talented and pretty girl in the industry who still works as a freelancer, and Miyako should try to recruit her. That girl is Loli Senpai. Since Aqua suggested Kana's name, Ruby has been following her all day to carefully observe her good traits, such as her silky hair or her innocent baby face mixed with her airheaded baka personality. With her long experience in following idols, Ruby concludes that girls like Kana gain a lot of popularity from hardcore otakus. Aqua stands behind her crazy sister and suggests again to scout Kana if she really is that talented. Ruby is still hesitating since she does not get along with Loli Senpai. Aqua texts Kana to meet up and asks Ruby to talk to her nicely this time. If they still cannot get along, she can forget this idea. Meanwhile, Kana is reading the reviews about the last episode. This comment, saying that the stalker was also good-looking, grabs Kana's attention, and she starts blushing while thinking about Aqua. Just then, she receives a message from him, saying that they should meet up after school. Even though she tried to repress her hopes of Aqua confessing to her, she could not help but get ready by brushing her hair before the meeting. As she arrives at the meeting place, Ruby asks what took her so long. She is disappointed to see Ruby here as well. Aqua tells her that it is Ruby who needs to talk to her. She sits on the bench and starts reading her book. She tells Ruby that since she is busy unlike her, she can only spare 20 seconds to listen to her. Ruby turns back to Aqua after seeing Loli Senpai's blatant attitude and shares that if she asks her to be an idol now, it will mean that she is just as cute as Ruby. Aqua explains to her that she should let go of her pride if she wants to become an idol soon. Ruby invites Kana to become an idol with Ichigo Production, which is about to launch another idol group, and she is helping them recruit members. Kana responds that she needs some time to think about it, while she is already thinking about how to turn it down. Trying to become an idol would result in the loss of acting jobs, and if she fails after changing her career, she will lose both jobs. Since the risk is too high, she is reluctant to consider this offer. However, she notices that Ruby has the same resemblance to the genius idol Ai. She has only worked with Ai once, and that was enough to make her realize that Ai was destined to be a big star. Now, she is having the same thoughts while looking at Ruby. She thinks that she is not cute enough to be an idol, so just as she is about to decline this offer, Aqua encourages her to become an idol with her sister. He adds that she is much cuter than many of those idols out there, and since it's her, he will be relieved to leave his sister under her care. He keeps pressuring her while she keeps saying that she refuses, until we see Loli Senpai sitting on a couch at Ichigo Production after getting recruited. Miyako is surprised that Aqua actually managed to bring her here and asks what method he used to do so. Aqua shares that since he read her personality, which is sympathetic and weak under pressure, he kept pressuring her. After turning D class into a class, the manipulator Ayano Koji arrived in Oshi no Ko to take revenge for Ai. Miyako tells him that he should not take advantage of people like this, while Aqua thinks that he did not do anything wrong since he has not said a single lie to convince Kana. Kana shares that since she is only an expired genius now, this type of boost might work in her favor. Moreover, she is glad to join, as it would mean more working and spending time with Aqua. She asks if Aqua has any upcoming jobs, and Ruby, with an embarrassed and disgusted face, reveals Aqua's upcoming show on her laptop. Kana is surprised to see Aqua on a reality dating show. In the trailer of this reality dating show, a pretty girl joins the other two girls and the boys in a classroom and introduces herself as Yuki Sumi, a first year in high school. A second-year student, Nobuyuki Kumano, who is good at dancing, introduces himself, which no one would care about since he is a guy. Moving on, a cute second-year student, who is an actress, introduces herself as Akane Kurikawa. Next up is Memcho, a cat-like girl in the third year of high school. She is a streamer on YouTube. The fifth one is Kengo Morimoto, who is in a band. He is also a third-year student. Kana shares that high schoolers who work in showbiz deepen their relationships through various events on weekends, and the viewers get to see who ends up together at the end of the show. Finally, Aqua enters the classroom and greets everyone in a jolly, nervous, and cute way. Yup, Kana and Ruby cannot recognize this guy in Aqua's body either. Someone with a dark personality like him, who always emits a negative aura, is suddenly acting so cute. Memcho finds Aqua cute, but Ruby knows that her brother is hard on girls who act cutesy. However, Aqua's response brings unity between Loli Senpai and Ruby when they both tell Aqua through the laptop screen to drop dead. Aqua tells her that she is cute too, and she makes him blush. Kana and Ruby can't believe the duality of this guy who is getting carried away by being surrounded by pretty girls. Finally, Miyako puts some sense into them, stating that this show requires him to act like this. Since he is a professional, he has no other choice but to keep up this act. What really worries Kana is that at the end of the show, Aqua might actually get together with someone for real, and the kiss and stuff among couples are common. This makes her feel sad and jealous, wondering why Aqua accepted a show like this. Miyako tells her that once she becomes a major actress, kissing and other stuff will also be required from her too, so having prudish views like this will only hold her back. At the shoot, Aqua is having difficulties interacting with Memcho, and all he can do is nod along. Masaya managed to convince him by promising to share a deep inside story that even Ai's agency is unaware of. Therefore, he has to go along to find his father, who is the murderer of Ai. The show only requires the contestants to be friendly and be careful of the static camera angles. Reality dating shows have been around for about 20 years now. Noticing Akin taking notes, Yuki shares that these shows really don't have a script. She thinks that she will be the first one to fade away, given her personality. Aqua asks why she took on this job. She replies that her agency never refuses a job offer, and since no one else was willing to take on this show, she decided to use it as a chance to fight her way through. She reveals that since she is just in her first year, she has never dated anyone before. She asks if Aqua is interested in dating. Aqua gives an honest reply that since he is a guy, he is obviously interested. However, he still cannot get over an old crush, and he is not even sure if it can be called a crush. Of course, he is thinking about Ai. Yuki shares that the couple from the last season kissed at the end, and upon seeing that, she was worried that there might not be any good guys this time. She gets closer and whispers in Aqua's ear that if it's him, she may be able to kiss. The camera is just behind her, so she tells him not to look at it. Being a guy, Aqua gets startled. Yuki is sure that this part will be used in the episode. Back at home, Ruby shares that as his sister, she reserves the right to choose which girl Aqua should date. She chooses Yuki as she looks like a good innocent girl. Aqua recommends her not to date for a while since she is such a bad judge of character. The next day, Ruby is bothered because Frill, Minami, and Aqua are all busy with shoots while she has nothing to do. At Miyako's office, Kana tries to convince Ruby how unstable an idol job is. They still haven't decided on a name for their group, as Kana keeps shutting down all the suggestions. That's because she still hasn't made up her mind about becoming an idol. She gets embarrassed when Ruby calls her idol Kana since she hasn't achieved anything yet. For that, Miyako brings out the camera and shares that the center of idol culture is now on the internet. It is the most cost-efficient place to start off, and luckily, Ichigo Productions' strength lies within the internet. She introduces them to a muscular YouTuber who goes by the name Peon. He is a popular YouTuber and Ichigo Productions' top seller. Kana mocks Peon and belittles him until he reveals his massive earnings, which immediately forces Kana to retrieve her words. He shares that the best way to gain popularity quickly is through a collaboration with the Peon channel, where they would wear a yellow headband and imitate his ultra-manly top G dance moves. However, he clarifies that they don't have to be in their underwear like him. He will only allow them to reveal their faces if they keep up with these macho moves for an hour. The other option is a wake-up prank. Since these pranks are scripted, Ruby does not want to use this idea as she does not want to start their first job with a lie. The girls then copy the ultra-macho moves for an hour and later take off their masks to reveal their names and faces. Peon asks for the group's name, and Kana tells Ruby to choose one, as she will be on board with whatever name she chooses. Hence, Ruby names her very first idol group Bikomachi, inspired by her mother, Akomachi. Meanwhile, Yuki begins crying in front of her classmates, sobbing about how she wants to quit this show. The other 5 are really surprised, and when they inquire about the reason, Yuki shares that the guys at her school have been teasing her lately. For a girl, nothing is scarier than openly expressing her feelings for the guy she likes. When she signed up for the show, she had no idea that drawing attention from this many people would only put her on edge. Memcho adds that she does all kinds of dumb stuff on her channel, and now people think that she really is dumb. Nobuyuki tries to comfort her with his kind words, and that's where the latest episode of this reality show ends, leaving the question of whether Yuki will really leave the show. She becomes the hot topic after this performance, as an entire article is dedicated just to her. Akane is still worried about her, so she asks if Yuki is truly quitting. However, Yuki responds that she signed a contract that forbids her from leaving. So basically, she just exaggerated her feelings to use them for the show. Akane notes down in her notepad that exaggeration is also a clever tactic. Since it has been a few weeks since the show started, everyone's personalities are becoming clear. Aqua classifies them as the ones who are really good at acting, like Yuki and Memcho, the ones who aren't hypocrites but are unique, like Nobuyuki, and the ones who aren't good on camera, so they have less screen time, like Ken and Akane. Nabu and Yuki suggest going out to eat and making Memcho pay for the meal since she gained new subscribers and is loaded. Her agency only takes a 50% cut, which makes others envious. For example, Akane only gets 20% of the earnings. They all enjoy the yakiniku while Akane keeps putting food on others' plates before her own. Aqua tells her that he can grill for himself and that she needs to stop serving others and eat some herself too. However, Akane tells him that this is her role. People used to get mad at her whenever she would burn the meat, but now that she can grill it well, she enjoys serving others. Afterward, she takes notes of Memcho's high on meat wisdom. Back at home, Aqua gets stopped at the door by Ruby, who asks if eating tasty meat while staring at cute girls must have been really enjoyable. Aqua tries to clarify that it was just a harmless hangout, but Ruby can sense the lie by noticing the satisfaction oozing from his face. Ruby is correct, as her brother can never get enough of eating oily food without experiencing digestion. She complains that shooting on weekends to make them hang out later is all just a setup. Aqua shares that reality dating shows aren't set up as much as she thinks, as most of them are only trying to make themselves look good, while a few are obviously faking it. She asks if everyone really falls in love, to which Aqua answers that it depends on each individual. Memcho, Yuki, and Nabu have no problem taking the relationship from here to marriage, while Aqua, Akane, and Ken just consider this show as work. Since he hadn't watched any dating shows, he thought that they would be set up, but it turns out that the real selling point is for the characters to express their true selves. It may be good from the audience's perspective, but lies are often the best way to protect oneself. Later on, the Yuki and Nabu pair becomes the focus of the show, where Ken shows his jealousy, and a love triangle forms over Yuki. Yuki becomes the game master while her flirty character excites the show, and the show starts to gain popularity among teenagers. Memcho asks Aqua why he isn't becoming a part of that love triangle since mingling with her would not do him any good. Aqua responds that he just wants to play it safe until the show ends. Memcho is also not interested since her only goal is to lead viewers to her own channel. She expresses her concern about Akane, who is still taking notes from the cameraman and putting in a lot of effort. The backstory of Akane is shown, who might seem to have crawled her way up through her pretty looks, but in reality, she tries her best every day, working harder than most of the people to get better at stuff. She overhears her manager being yelled at by the agency's director, who expresses his anger towards Akane for not being able to get any screen time on the dating show, despite finally being given a chance to shine. The manager tries to defend her by stating that she is already doing her best. However, the director argues that her best efforts are not generating any revenue, and he regrets choosing her over all the other girls. Akane apologizes to her manager, but he tells her not to worry and to continue doing her best as he will act as her shield. Akane sheds tears as she looks at her notes and decides to work even harder to make her presence known. At the Ichigo Productions office, Ruby tries a new drink that turns out to be gross. Being a Gen Z, she immediately starts writing a post about how poor this new drink is, to get her money's worth. Just then, Kana interrupts her with a newspaper smack. She explains to Ruby that if she writes badly about any product or store, and they happen to be ego surfing, it will result in them being reluctant to hire them for any future projects. Kana checks Ruby's phone and discovers that Ruby also frequently engages in ego surfing. Kana mocks her for searching her own name and even writing cute alongside it. She then gives a whole speech on how the revolution of ego surfing has taken over the world. Ruby realizes that beneath her pretty face, she is just a baka. Meanwhile, Akane is ego surfing in her room, and the words associated with her the most are non-existent. The next day during the shoot, Aqua discovers Memcho and Ken shooting videos for her TikTok. Memcho explains that she first started posting videos on TikTok and later turned into a YouTuber since it pays better than any other platform. She suggests that Aqua should also create a channel, but he responds by saying that he cannot understand the trends amongst youngsters these days. Just then, they notice Akane approaching Yuki and Nabu, who are talking in front of the camera. She finally makes her first move by pulling Nabu away from Yuki, stating that she needs to talk about something. Akane is finally getting some attention, although not in a positive way. She asks one of the crew members for a tip to have more screen time, to which she was suggested to pull a bad girl move and steal Nabu from Yuki. After the shoot, Yuki paints Memcho's nails beautifully and then offers to do the same for Akane. While painting her nails, Yuki asks if she truly wants to steal Nabu, considering she just made her first move. Akane responds that she simply wants to stand out and achieve results. Yuki warns her that she won't let her steal the spotlight, as she is going to fight till the end for it. The next day, Akane is having a nice talk with Ken when Yuki shows up. And in a flirty way, Yuki grabs Ken's hand and pulls him away. Akane needs to work harder for everyone supporting her, so she chases after them and stops Yuki, saying that she should not cling to guys so easily. What she does not notice is that her nail mistakenly hits Yuki's face and leaves a cut. Akane panics over harming her coworker model, who has a shoot tomorrow and her face is now scratched. However, Yuki immediately hugged her to calm her down, saying that she understands how hard she is trying, and that it was just an unfortunate accident. Yuki realizes that it only happened because Akane tried to do something out of her comfort zone. If this were a normal school, arguing a little and then making up would be a common story. However, this is a reality show with harsh critics. The viewers come to the realization that Akane is responsible for the cut on Yuki's face, and the internet floods with hateful comments for Akane. Crazy, dull, and trash are just a few words associated with Akane in abundance. The viewers even demand Akane be taken off the show immediately. Akane writes an apology tweet, but Memcho had previously advised them that an actor should never apologize, since it means that he admits he was wrong. However, everyone sees the apology as an opportunity to do the meanest things. Akane goes through a hard time dealing with the backlash, spending her days in tears, skipping meals, skipping school, and even not appearing at the shoot. She still pretends to put on a smile in front of her mother to not make her worry. Everyone at school is happy that Akane is finally exposed, since they think of her as a prideful girl who thinks she is good at everything. What they don't realize is the hard work and effort she put into everything to be better. She realizes that this tragedy will follow her throughout her career. The small fan base she once had also turns against her. Even against her friend's advice, she heads out to buy groceries in the typhoon, as she is severely depressed and is barely in her senses anymore. The typhoon causes her to stumble and collapse to the ground, while memories of countless tweets urging her to disappear and perish flood her mind. She climbs up onto the side barrier, determined to end her suffering once and for all. We have yet to recover from Ai's death, and now Akane. Just as she is about to jump, a hooded boy grabs her and tells her not to resist, as he is not going to hurt her. She recognizes the voice and realizes that it is not a stranger, but her friend Aqua. Thank you, Aqua. As they both fall and Aqua holds Akane from behind, she starts screaming and resisting, thinking of the hooded boy as some freak. Aqua exclaims to stop her and make her realize it's him, making her cry in vulnerability. Upon her confusion, Aqua explains how Mem called him, worrying about her going out in the typhoon and not returning for a while, so he tracked the route to the convenience store, looking for her, while Mem searches the neighborhood. He pats her head, trying to calm her down when an officer reaches them hurriedly after witnessing the incident from afar. Arima surfs through the internet, looking at the hate comments on Akane, showing pity for her and confusing Ruby, who thinks celebrities get used to it after a while. But Arima explains that this is something that's not ignorable so easily, and when a young girl faces criticism for the first time, it gets really hard to stay positive and keep working. She mentions thoughtfully how even she had days where she wanted to give up and kill herself due to such comments. Miyako also mentions how reality dating shows are really popular all over the world, but they have produced about 50 suicides, and there have been 10 times more people who thought of suicide and barely escaped it. Arima mentions how reality shows show the true self of a person, so the bashing is directed at the celebrity's true self rather than their show, hence hitting harder. Ruby thinks of how Aqua's lies are the best way to protect himself, which is acknowledged by Arima since a fake personality on the screen causes less damage than showing one's honest self. People are always insensitive and don't even realize how their comments corner celebrities into a dark space where the only escape seems to be death. The conversation is halted by Miyako's phone ringing, worrying everyone about the news of Aqua being in the police station. Akane's mother is shocked to hear all this since Akane didn't allow her to watch the program. A vulnerable Akane exclaims how she didn't want to worry her mother and starts wailing even more badly. Aqua, who is sitting outside on a bench, is greeted by Miyako, who talks about how she thought he was in trouble but is proud of how seemingly disinterested Aqua was. Aqua mentions how people can die easily, so a scream for help should always be responded to. Unable to handle how his nice nature is being exposed, he mentions charging Akane for the taxi fare to the police station, making Miyako laugh at him.
タクシー代は茜に後で請求する。
ケチね。
As Akane and her mother come out of the room, the rest of her cast members come rushing towards her, and she receives a direct slap from a worried Yuki, surprising everyone. Yuki starts crying, hugging Akane while she stands there stunned, not expecting this much care from her team members. Aqua asks Akane what her next step will be, since a reality show using minors can't complain if she quits, considering things have gotten this far. Akane contemplates the decision and decides not to back out now. As the others mingle to lighten her mood, Aqua takes his leave, pissed off at the producers for ruining her image, and at the people who commented on whatever stupidity came to their minds. Since Aqua knows that police stations have a media office waiting for news like that to use, he hands them the news of Akane's suicide attempt, disappointing Miyako, who does not understand his intention behind all that right away. Aqua wanted people to realize the intensity of their comments. As the news of Akane's attempt spread out, a few decided to back away, but there still wasn't any strong impact, and Akane hadn't come out of her house yet. So Aqua decides to start the literal reality show now. He approaches Mem to ask her for pictures and videos of all the cast members that she records, to choose which ones to put on her channel. He explains how he wants to show the real perspective and not what the producers are officially showing. Mem is impressed by the idea and offers to upload the content since she knows how to make content go viral. The rest of the members also offer their support, and Yuki mentions how their sweet moment after the fight was recorded on a static camera nearby, so they should upload it too. Aqua approaches one of the staff members whom Akane has been discussing the notes with, but he refuses to share the video since it will ruin the show's image and cause him trouble, even if he's well aware that Akane is a pro. Aqua tries to make him understand that Akane is half his age and that he should be protecting the kid for her to grow. Finally, the person understands Aqua's stance and gives him the recording. Aqua pulls consecutive all-nighters to compile the video as soon as possible, so the useless hatred for Akane finally settles. The 5 members work together to compile the shots from Mem's phone, as well as the content from the staff's cameras that weren't aired, while a serious Aqua tries to work with over-enthusiastic 17-year-old acquaintances of his. As the time to finally upload the video comes, Aqua is left with energy not even enough to click on the upload button. As Mem uploads the video, all of them hope for it to go viral, and much to their hopes, it does go viral pretty well, revamping Akane's image as well as increasing the popularity of their show. Akane, who watches the video in the darkness of her room, cannot believe that all of them took out their time to improve her deteriorated image. The chaos settles enough to improve Akane's mental state, so she finally decides to start shooting again soon. Yuki mentions how she shouldn't push herself, but before Akane can respond, she freaks out, thinking of how bad her words sounded when she meant them genuinely. Mem suggests she should take on a persona rather than showing her true self, so she doesn't face backlash on her true personality and sticks to a role throughout the show. Even Aqua agrees with Mem's words, so Akane decides to take their advice. Mem rants about how Aqua is a man of many faces, so at least he should show one to them, while Aqua simply refuses to do so. Akane wonders what kind of role she should adopt, making Mem and Yuki creepily move towards Aqua, asking what type of girl is his type since he's the only guy in the room. Aqua thinks about it, as Ai's face flashes in front of him, and mentions how he likes a girl with a pretty face, making the two disappointed at him being into visuals of girls like every other guy. Aqua ignores the two and continues listing Ai's fascinating traits, like her bright smile, perfect performance, invincible speech and manner, and captivating eyes. This confuses the 3 girls, but then something clicks in Mem's head, and she figures out what Aqua's confusing stuff is referring to. Her mentions of Bikomatch's Ai make Aqua halt in surprise, yet he agrees that it's what he was referring to. The 2 girls excitedly convince Akane to act like her and make Aqua fall for her, while Aqua is sure that no one can copy the charm of Ai. Akane walks home determined to work hard since she knows Aqua worked hard on that video and even came to save her in that storm, so he deserves something in return for his help. She decides to try and make him happy by perfectly acting out Ai's impression of him. Akane searches for information about Ai on the internet and gathers data about her. She then observes her personality in the videos, including her performances, personality, looks, and breaks down her actions into details and desires Ai had. She keeps noting down stuff on her notepad about her analysis of Ai and works in so much depth that she fills a good amount of her wall with notes on Ai's personality. Surprisingly enough, she notices a lot of tiny details about her life just from the breakdown of her personality. She notices how Ai's personality showed secrecy, careless behavior, an unstable childhood, and much more. She even notices a certainty in her involvement with someone of the opposite sex, as well as something different about her way of expressing love. The genius even ends up noticing a detail no one else noticed even while interacting with Ai when she was alive, that Ai had an imbalance in her body, which is seen in girls who have intercourse at an adolescent age. Arima talks to Aqua about Akane's situation, discussing how she recovered. Arima mentions how it would have been better if she retired since she is kind of her rival in the acting business, which surprises Aqua as he did not expect Arima to feel insecure about some actress who is just starting her career. This pauses Arima for a moment until she realizes Aqua has no links to the theater, so he doesn't know that Akane has been known as a genius actress in theaters, as she works for Theater Lala Lai. As Akane returns to the set, she apologizes for all the inconvenience she caused and offers to show her best work. As the cameras roll, everyone, especially Aqua, is left speechless at the perfect impression of Ai by Akane, from the tone of her voice to the charm in her eyes.
もうカメラ回ってる？
While watching the show, Arima discusses with Ruby how Akane has been known as a genius in theater for studying whatever role she has to play in depth and perfecting it like no one else. So, even though she isn't a personality that stands out in reality shows, she is no less than a pro in the acting industry. Aqua does not know how to react as a perfect impression of Ai stands in front of him, something he never fathomed. As the rest of the cast greets Akane, they are unable to comprehend the change in her, as she carries the same charisma that once Ai had, something so captivating that it steals the spotlight in an instant. As Akane expresses her gratitude to Aqua, Mem and Yuki discuss how not only Akane, but Aqua seems different too. To check it, Mem tries to have him pass her pouch, but he denies doing so until Akane tells him to.
はい。
ほら、茜にだけなんか素直。マジでアクタン、ああいう。
This makes the two girls excited, thinking that Aqua is only listening to Akane and likes the role she perfected to be his type. They try to fluster him with a little teasing, but Aqua cannot handle the conflict in his mind, so he excuses himself and rushes out. Letting go of Aqua's weird attitude, the girls tease Akane, who seems to be considering the possibility of going out with Aqua. Arima is pissed at the bond shown between Aqua and Akane, so she starts dissing the show while watching it with Ruby. She talks about how baseless the concept of the show is. She leaves acting as if she doesn't care one bit about the show or Aqua, not realizing the same bewilderment on Ruby's face as Aqua, as she also sees a glimpse of her actual mother in the girl role-playing on camera. Aqua sits in his room, pondering over spending years thinking about Ai, but not understanding her at all. He couldn't tell what part of her personality was the truth and which was a lie. Furthermore, he couldn't even understand how he always saw Ai as a fan, mother, or love interest. Arima walks to school, lost in her thoughts, when some girls near her start discussing how Akane and Aqua make a cute pair on the show and how they might kiss, ruining her mood. But before she can think much about it, the hot topic Aqua approaches her himself, offering to ditch school and hang out. Out of all the places to hang out with a girl, Aqua chooses to buy gloves and a ball and takes Arima to play catch with him, leaving the poor girl speechless. Feeling awkward, she tells him he should have hung out with someone who knows how to play catch since she doesn't, and discreetly inquires about his friends from the reality show. But Aqua denies being casual enough to hang out and have an easy flow of conversation with those people, something he doesn't have to worry about while hanging out with Arima. This pleases Arima, who then carries on the conversation by asking what Aqua's type is, and who he'd be targeting for the end of the show. This makes Aqua think about how he always remembered his past life, and as a kid his attitude was always conflicted between the doctor from his past life and a child. But now as he grows, he is settling enough to think of his past self and Aqua as the same personality. He comes out of his thoughts and tells Arima that, just like any high school boy, he feels an attraction to girls around him, but maybe he likes them a little older. This makes her think of herself. By then, she realizes how Akane is also a senior to Aqua and throws the ball hard at him. Aqua praises her throw, to which she reacts bratty in a cute way.
そうよ。アクアとするのが初めて。一番最初。
Making him smile and realize something he met her for. His feelings for Akane aren't romantic at all. After clearing his thoughts, Aqua returns to the set where Akane thanks him off camera for the suggestion of a change in persona. Aqua questions how her impression held such accuracy, to which she shares how she studies psychological profiling and researches the characters she needs to impersonate a lot to create her interpretations of them. She tells him how she even adds her own backstory to build the characters at times. This piques Aqua's interest, and Akane tells him she assumed Ai gave birth to a child in secret, not knowing how her assumption was spot on. Aqua questions how much she can figure out Ai's thought process to get exactly the response Aqua wanted. Akane tells him she can figure out what kind of life Ai led and what kind of men she was interested in. This conversation makes Aqua realize how important Akane could be in the main motive of his life, which becomes the base of his actions in the last episode of the reality show. He does what was least expected from him out of the whole cast. He kisses Akane in the ending scene after asking her out, unaware of a certain coldness in Arima's heart being torn by his actions. At the wrap-up party, everyone talks about how Aqua and Akane should continue dating, but she doesn't consider it a good idea for her acting career. Mem suggests not thinking about it and living like a normal teenager, expressing how Yuki must have done that too, offending the girl a little since she never dated anyone before and always prioritized acting. Aqua slips out of the group mid-conversation while the same person from the staff who helped Aqua with the footage talks to the rest of the members about how it's totally up to them how they handle their relationships now, as the production won't interfere a single bit. They actually encourage them to explore their teenage years rather than restricting themselves to their jobs only. As Aqua meets the producer outside, they discuss how recruiting Aqua was a good choice given the success of the show. The producer then mentions how Aqua's handling of the backlash kind of became a problem with the higher-ups since he used footage that wasn't aired, and they even considered suing Ichigo Production for it. Aqua confidently replies that he never breached the contract since it was mentioned they could upload off-stage moments on their official accounts to promote the show, and that's exactly what happened. Impressed by his stance, the producer ends the conversation by keeping his end of the deal and deciding to meet Aqua the following week. Aqua and Akane sit down for a drink, discussing their next steps. Akane is certain that Aqua doesn't see her as a love interest, so Aqua doesn't give her any false hope and tells her that he only sees their relationship as an extension of work. They should pretend to date for a while and then smoothly end things. He then praises her as an interesting actor, which proves to be the perfect compliment for a hard-working teenager like Akane. She thanks him for it and mentions that real dating should be left for Yuki and Nabu, surprising Aqua since in the last episode of the show, Yuki rejected Nabu only to start dating him in real life and off-camera. Akane mentions that she likes Yuki's sly personality, while Aqua remains disinterested in Yuki's actions just like before. As all the members finally go their separate ways, Aqua and Mem walk the same route since they live in the same neighborhood. They engage in casual conversation. Mem expresses her sadness about the show ending, as she was having a good time, but she chooses the better option of teasing Aqua for blushing when Akane impersonated Ai. Aqua is surprised that Mem knows about Bikomachi and Ai, so Mem reveals a secret. She always wanted to become an idol, but circumstances took that chance away from her. Now, she works happily as an independent YouTuber. Aqua listens to her and jokingly offers her a position in his company, since the new Bikomachi is recruiting idols. At first, Mem considers it a joke, but seeing Aqua's straight face, she is left stunned at the opportunity that knocked in her life so casually. Miyako is surprised when Aqua brings another potential recruit for the idol group and considers making him the talent scout for her production. She interviews Mem, who is excited yet nervous. The interview goes well, but Miyako's intuition tells her that Mem is hiding her real age, even though it doesn't show on her face. Miyako isn't bothered by it since many girls lie about their age in this industry. Miyako then asks Mem for her real age, and Mem becomes nervous, whispering her age in Miyako's ear. Miyako slowly turns red and starts screaming at Mem for stretching the truth a bit too much. Mem begs Miyako not to reveal her actual age when she presents herself as 18. Aqua also shows interest in the situation and casually asks if she subtracted 3 years from her age. Mem tells him she subtracted 7 years, shocking a composed guy like Aqua. Both of them are shocked to learn that Mem worked as a high school girl while being 25. A dejected Mem sits on the ground between the two, trying to reason why she has been doing this. She shares how she wanted to become an idol since she was a kid, but she was raised by a single mother with 2 younger brothers. Deciding to give up her dream, she wanted to help her mother earn money, but her mother encouraged her to pursue her dream and not worry about anything. Mem auditioned for many agencies and almost got recruited by a major one. However, in her 3rd year of high school, her mother fell ill and was hospitalized. Wanting to pay for the medical bills and her brother's education, she took a break from high school and worked all kinds of odd jobs to earn well. She worked hard enough to send her little brothers off to college and improve her mother's health. However, by this time, she had already turned 23, and in Japan, it's considered taboo for girls older than 20 to become idols. All the application forms also stated a condition that only girls up to the age of 20 could be considered as potential candidates. After losing hope of becoming an idol, she started streaming on YouTube. In one of her live streams, she jokingly mentioned being a high school girl currently, since she took a break from school and never completed it. She couldn't believe that her joke was taken seriously due to her appearance, and she gained a lot of popularity. It became impossible for her to backtrack, and now 2 years later, she's still holding on to that lie of hers. Mem dejectedly explains that she understands how big of an issue it can become if her real age is exposed, and she knows that being 25 and becoming an idol is impossible. Ruby interrupts Mem before she can say she will never become an idol. After hearing the whole story, Ruby finds no issue with Mem becoming an idol. Arima, standing in the doorway, also mentions how Mem's story feels relatable to her, but the little terms seem to be way off to the fact that a whole stream of tears is flowing from her eyes, reminding her of how her child agency kicked her out, and she had no support at one point as well. Arima turns to Miyako, who states that she never said no, and then looks at Ruby because she knows that the girls need to be on the same page and united for the group to work well. Ruby also responds affirmatively, stating that no one should ever stop dreaming, and Mem's age shouldn't be an issue for them. Aqua talks to Arima, trusting her to take care of the two girls, but Arima responds to him coldly, showing her jealousy. She calls him a womanizer and tells him to go care about Akane instead of being so casual with them.
ルビーとメモをよろしくな。
うるさい。気安く話しかけないで。
She mentions that she will take care of the two girls even if he doesn't ask her to, and offers to have lunch together with Mem, making the emotional girl cry even more at the sweet nature of the girls. With 3 girls, the Bikomachi group can officially start working now. In school, Minami talks about Aqua's show, Love for Real, and mentions how awkward it must have been for him to see his brother kiss on screen. Upon Akane being called Aqua's girlfriend, she thinks about how Aqua's feelings towards Akane may be based solely on the similarity she portrayed to Ai. Their conversation is interrupted by Frill, who also seems to be interested in the show and calls it great eye candy because the show was all about cute guys and girls. Both girls are shocked to hear Frill talk so casually about such things, while Frill continues by saying that her eyes were pleased and she thinks her eyesight even improved from watching the show. Frill adds that if she were a guy on the show, she would have made a move on Mem, which amuses the two girls at her funny talk. They discuss how girls are expected to maintain an innocent image and not joke around on set and in front of cameras, since men feel a rivalry with them that way. However, they acknowledge that many women also have this side. She even praises Aqua and mentions how she watched the show because her acquaintance Aqua was in it. Aqua's popularity increased significantly after the show, and many girls from the entertainment industry as well as the general public developed a crush on him. However, they are keeping their distance, thinking that he is currently dating Akane. The show's popularity didn't just benefit Aqua, but also Bikomachi. With Mem joining the group, they were able to create more professional videos and gain a larger number of subscribers, as Mem knows how to handle social media well. Mem expresses how they need to show their music as well to gain actual popularity, and Arima informs her that Miyako has asked a writer to create music for them, so they have to sit back and wait till then. However, Mem isn't easily fooled. Since they are using the name Bikomachi and acting as successors to the original group, there is no issue with using their old songs for now. They shouldn't wait until Mem reaches her 30s to start working. They decide to begin by learning how to dance like the original Bikomachi, so they head to the dance studio and keep working. Mem and Ruby have unmatched energy as they have been obsessed with becoming idols. However, Arima does get tired of their over-enthusiasm, as becoming an idol hasn't always been her lifelong wish, so she acts a bit realistically. Arima stands near the vending machine, exhausted, and wonders if the two intend to learn the remaining 30 footages in the same day as well, since she can't keep up with their enthusiasm. Her questioning thoughts about choosing to become an idol are interrupted by a water bottle touching her forehead. Aqua stands there, praising her efforts, but just as she is about to be swept away by her crush, she recalls how he kissed Akane and rudely rejects the bottle and his company. Aqua, not understanding why she's been acting this way, seems surprised and puts the bottle beside her. Before leaving, he tells her that even though she and him both know she has a bad attitude and a bitter mouth, this attitude towards him might end up hurting him. This bewilders Arima as she wonders how he can say such a thing when he's the one who hurt her. She tries to stop him, but it's too late and the corridor is already empty. Aqua meets up with the producer, who refers to the topic of conversation as digging up someone's grave. He warns Aqua one last time that it's never a good idea for a fan to uncover the reality of their favorite celebrity, but he knows fans never listen. He shares how initially, Ai had a very casual attitude since she was a country girl. She remained introverted and never paid attention to her dressing sense. Her professionalism wasn't up to par, so he decided to help Ai by introducing her to a theater workshop. She was groomed at the theater, which wasn't very famous at the time. The producer shares that he is certain she fell in love with someone there since she started caring about her appearance and used to ask for good restaurants to eat at. He doesn't know who she was involved with, but he can introduce Aqua to Lala Lai's superintendent to get closer to whatever answers he needs. Aqua questions why he would help him this far, to which the producer explains that showbiz is all about give and take, and people do favors for others in the hopes of receiving favors in return when they need them. The producer recognizes Aqua's potential and believes he will reach his prime in showbiz one day. Working with him at that time would bring him great profit, so he sees it as an investment, which he does with many newbies. The producer further mentions how he sees potential in Mem and Arima as well, and is interested in how they have revived the Bikomachi group. The producer didn't lie about his investments since he approached Mem to secure a stage for their new group at the upcoming Japan Idol Festival. This gets Ruby excited, but Arima expresses concern over not being prepared and ruining their image by doing so. Mem tries to reason how people wait a long time for such opportunities, which gives them a good motive and goal to work towards. This settles the decision that the group will perform at the Japan Idol Festival. The next question becomes who will be the center of the group, as it's supposed to be the face of the group and needs to be the best at everything. Both Ruby and Mem show interest in becoming the center of the group. But the real question remains the singing capabilities of who will be the center. This reminds Ruby of a childhood memory where Arima made a song about green peppers that topped the charts, and the two joke about this funny memory, pissing the poor child's star. The two girls then decide to settle the matter by determining who scores better in karaoke, but Arima excuses herself, stating that she's not interested in becoming the face of the group. Arima shares how she has tried different fields since her childhood but never gained popularity or developed a fan following. She sits with her back facing them and dejectedly tells them that the center should be someone with a pretty face like Ruby or someone with a strong fan following like Mem, and not a bitter woman like her. Ruby expresses concern over her sulky attitude, but Mem sweetly tells her to join them later. At the karaoke, both get points in the 40 seconds and 50 seconds, proving how lame singers the two idols are. They argue with each other, claiming the other is a bad singer. Eventually, they realize they both need to practice their singing skills. Wanting to make fun of the Green Pepper song, they search for it and discover that Arima released more songs after the Green Pepper song, which never gained popularity. They decide to listen to one of those songs and realize that Arima had actually improved her singing after the Green Pepper song and sang the new songs even better. Meanwhile, Arima, the self-deprecating girl who considers herself poor at singing, sits in another karaoke room sipping her soda with a score of 97. The two overly energetic group members finally convinced Arima to become the group center since she's far better at singing than Mem and Ruby. However, the two thought it would be better to fool Arima into becoming the center by directly announcing it on camera rather than sitting down and convincing her with rational reasoning. Arima made them stop the recording and gave them an earful for considering her an easy pushover, who wouldn't be able to refuse once they put it on camera that she's going to be the main face of the group. The two ashamed ladies apologize for their tactic, and Mem explains their karaoke match results. She mentions how they heard Arima's other music videos and saw how she improved in her singing. Arima smiles sorrowfully and turns her chair away from them, expressing her thoughts about how she believed she could sing but ended up damaging her image and her production company by failing to sell her music. Ruby defends that it was her first song, The Green Pepper Exercise, that was off-key. She adds that she improved with every new song, showing her dedication to becoming better, and believes this devotion should represent Bikomachi. Arima frustratedly shouts at Ruby for trying to force her, so Ruby apologizes for their immature act and asks Arima to at least listen to how they sound. In the evening, the three end their dance practice. Of course, Arima is the center. Mem and Ruby are satisfied that everything is sorted out in the end, and they convince Arima to be the center. Arima mocks them for being terrible at singing while trying to become idols. After hearing them sing, she knows she's better than the two to become the center, even though she doesn't want to be the center of the group. Miyaki visits them and shares that they need to push themselves since there isn't much time left for the concert, so she gets someone to help them train. Arima wonders if it's Aqua, but to her surprise, she finds Mr. Peon instead. Ruby is happy to see him, while Mem is stunned as he's in the same field as her and has been a pro dancer before. Mem is also a fan of him, leaving only Arima unamused. Peon has experience in choreographing for idols, so Mem asks where they could be improved from his point of view. Peon mentions that the first thing they need to work on is their stamina, which means exercising every day. After they're exhausted, they'll go through their set list 3 times while maintaining a smile on their faces. They start their training under Peon, and other than that as well. Mem and Ruby even discuss different transitions to make their stage performances more eye-catching. Arima watches them from the balcony while sipping on her juice and wonders where they get so much energy from. Peon visits Arima on the balcony, questioning if she regrets becoming an idol. She tells him she doesn't regret the decision she made for herself, but she does think she's not cut out to be an idol. Peon questions why she hates becoming the center so much since he thinks she is amazing. However, Arima seems to hold quite the opposite opinion about herself and believes she's not worthy of being the face of an idol group. She decides to low-key mock Peon for saying she's amazing, while betting he doesn't know anything about her. However, this isn't quite accurate. Peon starts listing her attributes, such as how hard she works, how she practices vocal exercises every morning, how her foul mouth is her insecurity that she wholeheartedly owns, and how she hates green peppers despite having a song about it. Arima is surprised to see that Peon knows so much about her and feels a bit more fond of him now. She jokingly asks if he's her fan, to which he accepts, causing her to blush at the importance he gives her. She never thought she had any fans anymore. Arima expresses her surprise that Peon knows she hates green peppers even though she never officially stated it. This revelation allows the two of them to bond over their hatred for green peppers, since they both find it overpowering to the dishes. As they engage in a casual conversation, Arima enjoys it so deeply that she even thinks about forgetting Aqua and developing feelings for Peon instead. On the other hand, Ruby and Mem notice Peon conversing with Arima and feel grateful that he spared so much time to help them. Mem casually mentions that his physique is not as built as it appears in the videos, making him resemble Aqua in a mask. Ruby starts laughing at the amusing possibility of Aqua speaking in a duck voice. After their training session, Peon praises Arima and offers her water, making her to mention how nice he is compared to Aqua. Mem questions if Arima hates Aqua, leading Arima to go on a rant about all the problems she has with Aqua, expressing her dislike for him. She also mentions how she used to think he was cute when they were children. Mem asks if they have known each other since then, making Arima to go into another rant about how Aqua was cute and nice in the past, but now he seems evil. This confuses Mem, who can't tell what Arima is getting at. Meanwhile, Peon watches the three of them from outside the practice room and engages in a conversation with Aqua over a call. He discusses their progress and lists their qualities and what he should do next for them. But what's surprising is that it's not Aqua on call, but Peon, while Aqua stands dressed as Peon in front of the girls. Mem's opinion was right about the similarity, since it has been Aqua who has been helping and guiding them throughout their training, while Peon has been on vacation, assisting Aqua through videos and calls. Upon Peon's question, Aqua tells him that he did it since Arima wouldn't have listened to his words. However, Peon is confident that she would have, making Aqua to mention how he isn't strong enough to test that. At night, while Mem has dozed off completely, Ruby can't sleep due to the excitement. Arima tries to convince her to get some rest, explaining that a lack of sleep might reduce her charm. However, Ruby just cannot keep her adrenaline under control.
でも全然眠くない。楽しみすぎる。どうしよう。
This makes Arima to question how she is so excited and confident, since there is no certainty as to how their performance would go or how the audience will react if there is any audience. Ruby smiles at this and shares Arima a glimpse into her past life by mentioning a time when she had no choice but to stay indoors. During that time, she became a fan of Ai and it brought joy into her life. Ruby also shares the bittersweet memory of her first love, who happened to be her doctor. He told her that he would be her fan if she ever became an idol, so she believes she will have at least one fan. Ruby dozes off while thinking the whereabouts of the doctor, leaving Arima to smile at the sight of a sleeping Ruby, thinking of how she doesn't have anyone to support her like that. Arima walks downstairs, thinking about Ruby's words when she suddenly stops and hides upon spotting Peon's unmasked face on the table. Upon curiosity, she peeps to see his face, only to be stunned upon discovering that Aqua is wearing Peon's clothes. As Ruby and Mem can't hold their enthusiasm, Arima is stressed since the whole incident confused her so much that she couldn't get even a wink of sleep. As the group moves to the dressing room, it turns out to be a hall full of upcoming idols. Miyaki mentions how they've got to become famous to be treated well. Arima sits alone with her legs shaking with anxiety after telling Miyaki that she is not nervous and will help and support the other two. However, the pressure makes her dive into all the past disappointments people had in her and how many failures she went through. It makes her wonder how she even thought of leading Bikomachi while she is a failure herself. As she takes a walk to get rid of the self-deprecating thoughts that could ruin the day for Ruby and Mem, Ruby approaches her feeling super nervous. This surprises Arima since she seemed to be enjoying herself. Ruby holds her hand and asks if she's nervous, causing Arima to deny it right away, stating that she's been doing this for a long time. This halts Ruby as she can feel how cold Arima's hands are. When she mentions it, Arima shouts at her for thinking so, making Ruby smile as she knows shouting is the best way to hide insecurity. She mentions how she feels better knowing Arima feels nervous too, and tries to reassure her that they're working together. But what Ruby doesn't know is that this is exactly why Arima is nervous. She is very used to failing and can deal with it, but she doesn't want Ruby and Mem to go through the same pain. Ruby pauses for a moment and mentions how she doesn't know much about Arima's past, but to her, Arima is the same rookie idol who is working hard like many other rookies out there. It doesn't matter if she screws up since it's part of their journey, so they should just enjoy all the challenges and give their best. This helps Arima greatly and makes her smile as Ruby drags her to prepare for their performance. A group of 3 people stops for the performance of Bikomachi since the 2 young ones want to stay to watch Mem, while their boss, the older one, used to be a fan of Ai, so he stays to watch what this Bikomachi is about. Ruby chose her penlight color to be red since it was Ai's, while Mem chose yellow. The white penlight fascinated Arima, so she chose it for herself. As they stand on stage, Arima notices how the crowd is not bad, and she can see it's because of Mem due to the large presence of the yellow lights. She also notices that the number of red penlights isn't bad either. As they perform their first song, Arima does not feel as nervous anymore and can perform normally. However, she also notices the lack of white lights in the crowd and wonders if people would have liked to see Mem as the center of the group. The boss of the 2 guys mentions how this group is nothing like the OG Bikomachi, which was upheld by a star named Ai. But his words are halted as Ruby smiles the same smile as Ai on the stage, and the similarity in their charm makes him raise a red penlight subconsciously. Even Arima is stunned by the charm on Ruby's face and notices how she might be winning the hearts of people instantly, as if she was born to become an idol. She observes Ruby's positivity and enthusiasm as she thanks the crowd and announces their next song, unaware of how Arima is once again indulging in her insecurities, as she sees the fans for Mem and Ruby while no one would look at her. Even while performing, Arima wonders how she's been desperately wanting someone to look at her, need her, and appreciate her, so that she works harder and harder. Even in this crowd, she wants someone to look at her and make her feel that she belongs to this group. Suddenly, a white light catches her attention, none other than from her number 1 supporter, Aquamarine. He stands in the crowd with the white penlight in one hand and the other 2 lights in his other hand. Performing the same routine he and Ruby got viral for performing in their carts as babies in Ai's concert. Mem, Ruby, and Arima all try to hold in their laughs as Aqua stands out in the crowd, performing the routine with the straightest face possible, making him look like a clown. But even he doesn't know how well his support works as he raises Arima's morale to perform with even more enthusiasm. She thinks about how he's funny and unfair for using all 3 penlights, but this gives Arima even more encouragement as she sets her goal to make all his penlights turn white. She performs with all her heart, now wanting to become Aqua's favorite, making the poor guy halt with surprise at the sudden charm that Arima exhibits. This even creates more white lights in the crowd as people praise all 3 for having the looks of ace idols. But with passing songs, Arima seems to be catching more attention than she expected. As they all enter the car, they see Aqua sitting there, which makes Ruby joke about how funny he is. While traveling, Ruby dozes off, and Mem is busy on her phone in the passenger seat. Arima asks Aqua about their performance, making him to give a slight compliment. However, he refuses to praise more, stating that he expects them to do bigger and better concerts later, making this praise seem wasted. Miyake is content that the 2 of them finally decided to talk to each other. Mem asks if they don't get along, but Miyake tells her it's not like that. Miyake then asks about how Akane is doing, but Aqua tells him he hasn't met her and only considers her a work colleague. He mentions that he might meet up with her someday to take photos with her for the fans. The mention of them being work colleagues satisfies Arima, and she starts casually throwing insults at Akane, warning her to never get involved with someone like him. She also starts playfully mocking Aqua. Mem is surprised at how cheerful Arima suddenly becomes. It finally dawns upon her that Arima is interested in Aqua. This confuses her because she doesn't know whom she should root for between Akane and Arima, and she doesn't know who Aqua's interest is. Akane's manager finally brings her the new project she was offered, making her happier than ever since she'll be able to work with Aqua again.
なんでそんなことしてたわけ?
Arima confronts Aqua for pretending to be Peon, so Aqua tells her it was because she wouldn't talk to him. These direct words catch Arima off guard, but she can't control her happiness and starts teasing him for dancing and training in that heavy mask and even changing his voice for that. Awkward due to the teasing, Aqua uses his most convenient excuse and tells her he wanted Arima to listen and train well since it would have affected his sister otherwise. However, Arima is well aware now that the sister complex is just an excuse and laughs about it. Aqua tries to walk away, but Arima points out how he is running in embarrassment since he did something weird to talk to her. This hits the bullseye for Arima, and Aqua starts acting as if Arima is getting the wrong idea, sparking a banter between them.
座れよ。
望むところですけど。
Mem and Ruby witness this from the doorframe, and Ruby is glad that things worked out between them. She knows that Aqua is someone who only gets involved with people who provoke him, and she sees a glimpse of his old self while he is with Arima. Mem thinks about how Akane needs to work harder. The theatrical adaptation of Tokyo Blade becomes news due to the new actors performing at Theater La La Lai. Akane has been cast, and the need for young and cute faces has also reached Aqua. He would never decline an offer linked to Theater La La Lai since it would bring him closer to finding his father. As Akane and Aqua meet and post about their date on social media, they discuss the roles they got for Tokyo Blade. Both of them have side roles, but they will potentially be a couple in the series. Akane mentions that there is a question about who Aqua's character will end up with, but what's even more interesting is that Akane and Arima are chosen for this love triangle, making it seem very similar to their real lives. This news is broken upon the two by Arima herself as she visits them in the cafe and warns them not to post their live locations to avoid stalkers. The two girls then engage in a heavily taunting conversation, leaving Aqua baffled by the tension between them.
てっきり役者辞めたんだと思ってた。
茜
よかったわね。
有馬
As Arima leaves, chanting that she won't lose to Akane, Aqua notices Akane's is extremely furious and questions how she knows Arima. Akane tells him that they're the same age and that she used to take up all the jobs she wanted as a child star. Now, she is confident in being better and assures Aqua that she won't lose to her. This makes Aqua wonder why all actors are so competitive. As the cast for Tokyo Blade is finalized, everyone starts training hard for their roles. At the same time, Mem works on her streaming, and Ruby finally gets some time to visit Ai's grave. She remembers Ai's words about how Ruby might become an idol one day, while Aqua might become an actor in the future. Aqua stands on his balcony, remembers her words and feeling even more determined to find the person behind Ai's death, no matter what it takes. Hope you enjoyed the series as we await Oshinoko Season 2. Let me know your thoughts, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with anime. And we're out.
やっぱ溢れ出るオーラ隠せないね。困った困った。
自信か可愛い